One of the signs of being in a cycle of self sabotage is constantly running into resistance. And the concept is heavily explained by this book, The Mountain Is You. And it's simple, right? So it says here resistance is what happens when we have a new project that we need to work on and simply can't bring ourselves to do it. It's when we have an amazing idea for our business and then feel tension and anger when it comes time to sit down and actually get to work. And the major concept here is understanding that we often feel resistance in the face of what is going right in our lives, not what is going wrong. When we have a problem to solve, when things are in absolute chaos, when you have 1,000 problems coming at you at the same time, you rarely experience resistance. But when we have something to enjoy, something to create or build, we are tapping into a part of ourselves that is trying to thrive instead of just survive. And the reason I'm particularly reading this at this particular moment is that I'm currently experiencing what I've just explained. For the past few months, I've been submitting a lot of applications for job for when I graduate in a few months. I've submitted, right now, probably up to like 300 applications. Very few get back to you with positive response to say, okay, schedule an interview. And after submitting multiple applications, I finally have one interview. And, that is a relief, right? It's not a guarantee of a job yet, but that is great relief, right? But in the stage of submitting applications, it comes easy because I know I'm trying to do something. But now that I've eventually gotten one response, one positive response, now it's time to prepare myself and give it one final push and land this job. I'm facing incredible amount of resistance. Like I'm unable to get myself to sit down and prepare for the interview. Is it hard? No. Do I have some? And the interesting thing is I have some of those questions prepared, like some of the general behavioral questions that come, the possible technical questions that can come for the role I applied for. I have all of that written out. But to eventually bring myself and then sit down to just rehearse and practice has been incredibly hard. Now, hard, not in, when I say hard, it doesn't mean in the physical sense that I'm experiencing some physical difficulty or like a health issue. No, it's just all in here. It's all mental. Like the mental resistance of trying to like this insane difficulty of getting myself to work and actually doing what I need to do to actually move myself forward. Multiple times in your life you would experience it, right? So I was reading this for myself so I can push myself to get to work, and I decided to make this video. I think mine is slightly different. It's a mix of resistance, but at the same time, when I think about it, it's also there's also another concept she explained in this book where she says sometimes you feel like you can't get to work, like you can't act because the feeling is not there. But you have to understand that the momentum you seek, the momentum or the motivation you seek that you think would help you get started with work, most of the time would come after you actually get to work, not while you're waiting to get to work, not while you're waiting for the feeling to come. So for me, right, it's a mix of yes, resistance, but at the same time, I understand that, like, at least from previous experiences, every time I've experienced this particular feeling of I'm trying to do something that can move my life forward significantly if it works, right? And my preparation gives me, like, increases my chances that this can work. Because by preparing, I learn, like, I rehearse, I do all the dry runs and the practice I need to do. It moves me forward. That is not surviving. That is, in essence, thriving. It's not comfortable. But at the same time, there's also that waiting for the right moment of motivation to come and move me, and like all of that feeling, like it's almost like waiting for the stars to align. It wouldn't come. The motivation or the momentum you're seeking comes after you actually get started, right? So acknowledge the resistance you're facing. Understand it is not the same thing as procrastination, but we can't let this thing stop us from doing what we need to do to move forward, right? That being said, we have to get to work, right? So acknowledge it. Think about, okay, why am I feeling like this? Like, is this coming from a fear of being overly invested in the outcome of what I'm doing, right? Or am I just plain distracted? I mean, sometimes if you're distracting yourself, you're probably distracting yourself from something. It's probably something you're running from, right? It's not like, yes, there's what comes from constantly, just from a habit of being constantly distracted. But personally for me, I've always been, at least for the past few weeks, I've locked in and I'm getting stuff done. I'm sticking to my workout schedules, my schoolwork. I'm getting all of that done. And then for the past 3 days, just because as I'm preparing for this interview, my I think there's some tension in there, like, will this work? So it's probably mixed with a sprinkle of fear of something, this thing going wrong or not going as planned, overly investing in the outcome. So it's a mix of those things, right? That is how you deal with it. You think through it. Why am I experiencing this thing? This doesn't even make sense, right? Now that we've acknowledged it, right? And the motivation to get to work is still not there. The understanding is knowing that once I get started and then I create the momentum and I create the action, that is where the momentum comes in. Just like physics, first law of motion, Newton's first law of motion, right? An object at rest will continue to be at rest unless an external force acts on it, right? So when you're seeking motivation, you're at rest. When you're waiting for motivation and external force to come push you, you're at rest. You'll probably not get emotion, right? And most of the time, nobody's coming to save you. So the external push probably won't come. Sometimes you get it from friends, from family, but most of us, we need to behave like rockets, right? We have our own jet fuel in us, like our own jet fuel will be in us. So we have to propel ourselves. So immediately your jet fuel launches, just like the jet, you will experience most of the energy being consumed before you lift off, right? So all of that energy, you basically eventually once you get yourself off lifts and then you're trying to overcome escape velocity, once you get there, once your momentum is there, now you can't stop. That has always been my experience when I'm working on stuff. First, I experienced significant resistance to getting started, what I have to do. And then eventually, okay, yes, you're gonna do. What is going on? Am I just being plain distracted? Am I just acting like a baby? Or there's actually something going on? Is there something like, it shouldn't take long. Just think through all of that. Once you have all of that fog cleared away, then you understand that in order for me to get the motivation, to get the momentum I need for this, I just need to get my butt on the chair, whatever it is I need to do, get started with it. And then the momentum and the motivation comes after. That is how you get it done, guys. And I highly recommend this book, The Mountain Is You, because the mountain is genuinely you.